Mr. Deputy City Manager, there is a member's motion to request the City of Toronto to request Metrolinx to add a news station. Is that any recommendation that has been on any priority list at the City of Toronto? Is it in our network plan?
Madam Speaker, we've identified the additional stations at Parklawn and Woodbine in previous reports. We've had indications that they were viable candidates for future, related to future development opportunities. So yes, we have indicated previously that those were two candidate sites.
And so it is on our identified in a network plan. We've had discussions of it, and we've had an opportunity to ask questions about it, and we've had written reports about that we've been able to ask and decide upon before, or is this the first time we've seen it? I'm asking straight up.
Madam Speaker, it's the former, not the latter. We have identified Parklawn and Woodbine in reports that we've done on Smart Track, RER, and other reports. We've identified those sites. They haven't been the principal objects of a report. We've not made firm or hard recommendations, but have indicated that those are additional stations that are of interest to us, associated with the associated development of both Woodbine and the what you would call the Mr. Christie site in the area of Humber Shores.
We have just had the first draft of the 5-year Metrolinx plan. Are we going to be responding to that?
Madam Speaker, yes, we are.
Why would we not put any other addition or priority in terms of our overall network plan and in terms of the Metrolinx plan? Why would we not discuss that and submit this in that context?
Madam Speaker, we always want you to put these stations in context. We always want council to look at it in terms of a network. We've been simply advising that there are other opportunities, and it does include Parklawn, it does include Woodbine. We've looked at the other Metrolinx RER stations like Bloor Lansdowne and at Spadina.
Are we putting those ones in?
They have been and will be included in our analysis of the plan that Metrolinx has for the future.
They are, or they will be?
We will be commenting on their viability.
Then why wouldn't you comment on this one in the context of a submission from the City of Toronto so that we understand all of the priorities?
Madam Speaker, we're happy to do that.
Okay, but that's not what this is.
Well, it's a member's motion, and I believe any other member can put a motion through. Councillor Perks?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Maybe this is to the clerk. So from time to time, City Council passes motions advising, asking us to advise some government of something. What's the process that happens there after that?
Madam Speaker, we would forward the advice from Council to the appropriate minister or agency.
And it would just be this, whatever the member's motion was.
Whatever the member's motion was.
Right.
And whatever, well, actually, whatever the council decision
Whatever council decision is. That's right. Maybe this is Mr. Livy, maybe this is City Manager, I don't know. We have ongoing conversations with Metrolinx where we express what the city's goals and priorities are, and that comes out of the fuller reports that you've done?
Madam Speaker, that's correct.
That's correct. So here's where I'm a little confused. So we pay you guys the big bucks, you do the studies, you come forward with a network plan, you do public consultation, this council adopts them, you go and tell Metrolinx this is what the City of Toronto wants. How does that fit with the clerk sending a separate letter saying, oh, by the way, this one station is a priority for us? Are those, is that a coherent, integrated approach?
So, Madam Speaker, I wouldn't take the motion as being indicating a priority over others. I would simply say that what...
No, I haven't asked you that. I've asked you, so on the one hand...
I'm trying to explain, if that motion were to pass,
yes,
we would be aware of it, and we would be articulating that motion to Metrolinx in meetings that we have on a regular basis. We'd have a back and forth. They'd probably want to know what's happening around the site, the development, that we've got ongoing studies like all things that we do, we want to keep them fully informed of the development side and what that generates in terms of transit. So,
Okay, thank you. That was helpful. We've looked at quite a number of GO stations within the City of Toronto in terms of how much they're going to cost and what their net impact on ridership would be. Is this the top station in terms of the net impact on ridership?
Madam Speaker, no, it's not.
It's not? Is it second?
I haven't got a list in front of me, but you've had council positions on the 6 additional smart track stations on
Yes.
the Stouffville and the Georgetown lines. We're looking at the extension of the LRT out to the airport. There's a wide variety of things, and these have been secondary to those matters.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Levy.
Councillor Mihevik?
Thank you. Just a question that I think needs asking. Like, as I understand it, my colleagues are behind me. This really is about understanding that there might be an opportunity, given that there's a very large site next door that is ripe for development, and there might be some opportunities to do some synergies and have something available to the city that might not otherwise be available.
Madam Speaker, that's correct. We've had a submission, preliminary discussions with First Capital on the Mr. Christie site. We want to make sure that the timing of that site, the potential front ending or payment of that station or whatever might be factored in.
This will not jump any queue. You'll do a business case analysis. You will do all the things. It's not going to go ahead of anything else. But if there's an opportunity to leverage something, this will help, frankly, mobility from south of Etobicoke into the city using the RER system.
Madam Speaker, yes, I want to just make sure this motion, if passed, would continue to have us articulate what's happening in that area.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay.
This is a picture of Humber Bay Shores. I would say this is probably the early 60s. There's Humber Bay Shores, and you can see Councillor Doucette's Ford at the top of the page.
No transit.
This is 60s, 70s, the old motel strip. Back in the late 80s and the 70s, the 3 levels of government got together, and we had a very problem area on the Lakeshore there. They got together and formed Humber Bay Shores, where we expropriated the land all behind those motel owners, spent millions and millions of dollars to get the public ground Marine Parade Drive. We put in Humber Bay Park East and West, which is a great park that we have today. And this is it today. So there's the park we added. We filled in the lake. This is all public realm now. We created Humber Bay Shores probably to here. I took over right about here and worked my way this way. City planning supported all of this plan back in the 80s and early 90s. The 3 levels supported it, got the great public realm. What we didn't support, and you see the craft plant, Mr. Christie's plant just kind of in behind here. And we fought all the way up Park Lawn, all up here. And this is not current. These are all filled in now, all the way up Park Lawn. That density the city never supported. I fought along with city planning with craft to protect the craft plant, and we lost that. 3 developers got together at the board and took our decision, so that's never been in our plan, and we have a huge density there. And it was great to hear Councillor Carroll say, in the debate on the parks, that in 10, 12 years she had, I think, 20,000 new people. She wants to upgrade the services, make the developers pay at wholesale prices. Well, that's what we're doing here. I have 30,000 people in the same time as Councillor Carroll had her 10, 12. I have 30 instead of 20.
More coming.
More coming. This is the park down by Park Lawn Lakeshore. I've had the mayor out there. He's seen this. This is back probably a few years. You see the cranes now going up in that place. Here's the craft plant that has closed up and left. First Capital Realty's bought this property. I think we have to be familiar with First Capital. And here's what's happening to the plant now, being demolished. 27 acres of prime industrial lands. That is now at the board. First Capital's picked up the appeal from Mondelez that took it over from Kraft, and they're taking it now to the board. This council stands and fights for employment lands and asks for jobs. And regardless what happens there, if it's mixed use designation that the developer is asking for, or we keep it jobs. We are at a tipping point down there. We're not going to attract any jobs. So we've been working with economic development, our Deputy City Manager, John Livy. We've talked to many people who have kicked the cat at this, but we want transit there. We are not going to get office if we don't have transit. Regardless what goes there, mixed use or jobs, we're not getting anything. This council, into Councillor Perk's question, this council endorsed a GO station at this site through a motion the council I brought through last year. Council already endorsed it. What I'm asking for is, sorry, Councillor John, I'm not saying there's a station. And my wording says, we direct the city manager, deputy city manager, Cluster B to work with Metrolinx to consider further the feasibility of a Parkline GO station. That's what I'm asking. It's at a tipping point. Lakeshore Boulevard comes down to one lane. They can't move. People are choking. They're asking for transit. And thank God our deputy city manager is listening. Our mayor's listening. He's been out on a number of occasions. And we've got the waterfront reset going. But people are screaming. This station, if it did go in, it would join Councillor DeChano's ward and Councillor Doucette's ward. It'd be awesome we get this thing in. As we go to the electrify that line and the 15-minute service, I think there's a chance to, jump off the other station. But people in Humber Bay Shores and are screaming because they can't move. It's congested. So this is a priority for me, and it should be a priority for you, just like every other councillor. We're growing all over, and I think it's time that this council understand what's happening in other people's wards. It's just not their ward. Our city is booming. So I'm asking for help here. My community is screaming for it, and I ask you to let our deputy city manager, our planning department, work with whatever happens on those 27 acres and move forward with a plan to improve transit for Etobicoke Lakeshore. Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
I don't dispute there's tremendous growth in that area, as there is in West Bay or East Bayfront, West Donlands, and other places in the city. What I don't understand is how this and why this is coming as a walk-on motion, separate from every other report where we establish priorities and give direction to Metrolinx.
Hey, this is not the first time it's been here, but I can tell you this is going to the board. First Capital is taking this to the board. There's an opportunity here. There's been some without prejudice discussions with them. If we can get, as Councillor Carroll said, get them to pay for it at wholesale prices, I don't know if that's going to be an opportunity, but those are discussions that could be had. Let them pay for the station. So I think that might get Metrolinx here. I don't know. But also our MPP, Peter Milchin, we all know very well, he's asked me through Twitter that the council make this a priority. James Maloney, our MP, if I can answer the question. James Maloney, our MP, myself, Councillor DeChano, and our MPP, Peter Milchin, are all on the same page. We're all three levels of government are agreeing we need a station here. So that's why it's here.
That's how we got the subway.
Okay.
What I don't understand is why. So what you're saying is that it's this development application that's before the board. When we've gone to ask for additional stations in the past, the provincial government has said, well, you're welcome to pay for them. You're saying this will be fully paid by a developer.
I'm not saying, I'm asking to consider the feasibility, sit down, talk to Metrolinx. If they found out maybe that there is to be funded by a developer, will that change their mind? I don't know, but I asked staff to work with that and see what would come forward. I can't wait any longer, Councillor Davis.
What kind of work is going to be done? Are we doing design work, costing work? Are there any costs associated with this?
I'm asking staff to look at it. It's a conversation with Metrolinx. But I think before that, I think they have to hear that this council understands that there's a priority. It's a tipping point down there, and we need transit now.
Through you, Madam Chair. Councillor Grimes, what do you believe would be the proper consideration process to determine whether or not there's merit in the proposal that you're advancing?
Well, again, I would leave that to the professionals. Our staff, John Libby, we're in very capable hands with him and our planning staff. Greg Lintern, our acting chief planner, he was there as a director watching this build out, so I know he has a very good handle on what's happening down there, the stuff that the city's approved and the stuff we haven't, that the OMB's approved. So I think the OMB has a role to play. They've approved transit, or they've approved densities here that was never in our plan, and we're at a choking point down there. So I think, we're in good hands. Let staff do the work, and I'd like to see this come
really
back.
What I'm asking though is that would you want to see a process that is completely fact-based, that considers everything from existing density to any ridership projections that can be created?
Yes.
Looking at projected density in the future, looking at every possible variable that would either demonstrate the merit of this or not, and if it came back.
Councillor Matlow, this is not clarification of the motion.
How is it not?
It's not. Read the recommendation.
Councillor, you're right.
No,
Consider
I'm-
further feasibility. It says
Yeah,
right here.
I'm
Consider
asking-
further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm asking
Yes.
about the
Yes.
feasibility and the consideration.
Yes.
How is that not? Are you ruling against me?
No, I'm not, but just try to keep on topic, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm speaking specifically about what is feasibility, and I'm not arguing with
The answer is
anyone.
yes, Councillor Mello, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so through that consideration and through a fact-based process, if it came back and it demonstrated that it's a good idea, of course, I imagine you'd support it. But if it came back and it said, you know what, it just doesn't merit moving forward, would you also accept that?
I don't know if I could, but my community's not going to accept it. But you know the position I'm in, Councillor Matlow. You're probably going through the same thing. So again, I'm being told by my residents.
But you do support a fact-based.
Well, I do, but again, we need some relief down there. We need some help right away. It's not like we can wait 10 years. Things are happening fast down there, faster than most people. I don't we ever thought the plan would come this fast and furious. So like in other words, I mean, we didn't believe that the city would build out this fast. So we were so far behind the 8 ball. It's not funny, and my ward's not the only, and I recognize that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Doucette.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I could bring a motion today asking us to revisit the LRT up Jane Street, but I won't. I will be supporting this. Again, as Councillor Perks says, this isn't the first time it's before us. Councillor Grimes says this isn't the first time before us. It's not. But this is an opportunity to look at 27 acres of land. When this land does get developed, it'll be gone. We will never have a chance in this area to build something like a station. So my ward is just a hop, skip, and a jump over a river to the east. In that south portion of my ward, we are looking at possibly 6 more towers going in. When I drive to community council in the mornings, when we have community council in Etobicoke, I see the bumper-to-bumper traffic trying to get downtown, trying to get along Lakeshore. And I know at Community Council, Councillor Grimes has asked to do traffic control. And I have objected to some of it because all it would do is put more traffic onto the local roads which end up in my ward. There's only so many roads coming across that river. And all that traffic is having to get across the bridge. Therefore, we really need to seriously look at other forms of transportation which my residents can probably walk to. I know Councillor Grimes' residents can walk to. Councillor DiCiano's residents may have to get on a bus. But the point is, this is an opportunity. It's already on the table. It's not the first time we're hearing about it. We're not trying to jump the queue, but we do seriously need to look at this opportunity because the land is there right now. So this has got my support. It will always have my support. It needs to be reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you.
It says a priority, not the number 1 priority, but a priority. And in the wisdom, the wisdom by Councillor Doucette, I think is accurate. There's an opportunity here because there's a development right next door. We seize opportunities when there's parks development, where there's community center development. We do that all the time. The local councillor is saying, staff are affirming, no one's trying to jump the queue here, but you're trying to seize an opportunity. That's smart. And we should support the local councillor if he and planning staff can figure this out, not jump any queues, and come back with a plan for a redevelopment of that 27 acres and get some good public transit there. The RER project is the most, probably other than the Eglinton Crosstown, together, they're the 2 most important projects affecting mobility in this region. And if we don't get Metrolinx to think of RER as intra-Toronto city mobility and just 905 to 4016, then we've lost a lot. So this, I think, is a smart move for us as a city, and we should endorse it, noting clearly it says a priority, not the only priority, and it helps him out with his case. Let's support it.
Thank you.
Just be brief. First of all, this has nothing to do with my reason for strongly supporting this, but it should be noted that the member sponsoring the motion is being inducted into the Etobicoke Sports Hall of Fame tonight, and I think that's fantastic. Speaker, I would just say this. First of all, I don't think we should be discouraging people, and I don't hear anybody really doing it, although to some extent there's an insinuation that people should be discouraged from doing what I think is their responsibility in here, and people will either vote for or against this motion. I'll be voting strongly in favor of it. But you know, it has been mentioned in response to questions that this actually has been mentioned, and I think Councillor Perks very helpfully cited specifically reports in which this was mentioned before. The Deputy City Manager implied there may even be others. Secondly, let's look at what it does ask for, and I think Councillor Mahavik very well pointed out this is just mentioned as a priority, not the top priority or the fourth or most important priority, just a priority. Thirdly, I think it is the responsibility of the local member of council to move a motion like this, and I heard his neighboring councillors standing up and supporting that, which is also important to me. In some respects, you might argue, given what's going on down there, it's irresponsible not to ask the province to do this when you have the opportunity and when the spotlight is going to be shone on this because of a municipal board hearing and because of the provincial government taking a look at all of this. And finally, I guess, you know, and this was really, I think, borne out by something I think Councillor Perks said about affordability and other things. If we don't ask for something, then we're certainly not going to get it. And I think with the province, my experience has been you have to keep asking and keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. And sure, in the meantime, if we want to do studies, which is what this asks for, what are the words? Consider, feasibility, advise council as appropriate, and look at the question of whether private sector people might pay for this. I mean, to me, this is all good. And we should support this as is, as amended, but as is are the words that are here, and get on with trying to press the case to get a station there for the thousands of people who have totally inadequate public transportation in that neighborhood right now. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. So if we can put the amendment on the screen, recorded vote.
The amendment carries 28 to 3.